All right, Steeler fans, it is time for the mailbag segment here every Wednesday. The second half, we answer your questions. I answer your questions, I should say. And all you have to do is you find me on Twitter or X at jhartman, HARTMAN_PIT. And I will put out the question every Tuesday morning. You respond, and I will answer that live right here on the Wednesday show. And I thought I was going to have more questions, to be honest. I thought a lot of people were really excited, but I also think a lot of people are just ready for news. They're just ready for this to get started. They're ready to see some reports, all that fun stuff. So, not as many questions, but that's okay. We're going to answer all of them right here. Let's start off with, as we always do, Believers, the Ride or Die Crew poll of the week. How would you prefer the distribution of carries this year? He's talking about running backs. The options were Najee gets 75% of the carries, both Najee and Warren about 50-50, or Warren gets 75%. I and everyone else that's voted on this so far are at 100%, both at 50-50. There's a lot of people out there that really don't like Najee Harris. They don't think he's as valuable as Jaylen Warren, and they would rather see Jaylen Warren get 75%. I'm of the mindset that what Jaylen Warren does and how Najee Harris, what he does, they kind of offset each other. It's the yin to the yang. And so they need one another. So I think that if you keep it 50-50 like they did last year, they both can succeed. Great question. All right, let's go to Pam Hartman. Yeah, my mom. She said, on a scale from 1 to 10, how excited are you for the start of training camp? So if 10 is I'm jumping out of my seat excited, 1 is this isn't moving the needle at all, I really don't care. I would say that on a scale from 1 to 10, I'm about a 7. And if I'm being honest, which I try to be as honest as possible on this podcast, the 7 is more from a job perspective. It's the fact that I am a content creator that creates content about the Pittsburgh Steelers. And we all get to this point. Like I do 3 shows a week. And so when you think about from mini camp until training camp, 3 shows a week, trying to think of, and that's just Let's Ride, mind you. That's not the other stuff that I do. There's a lot of times you're like, okay, what am I going to talk about? How am I going to handle this question? All this stuff. It can be really difficult to navigate those waters. So a 7 out of 10, I'm excited to see how the team plays and how they prepare. But I'll talk about it on Friday's episode where I fell for it last year and I don't want to fall for it again. But from a finally we get some news, something to actually dig our teeth into, that's where you get the 7. It's a great question. Okay, let's go to Zach Farnsworth. Hey, Jeff, if you could participate in any drill at training camp, which one would you pick, assuming you wouldn't get injured from participating? And then he uses hashtag Ride or Die Crew. All right, Zach, that's a great question. What drill would I participate in? That's interesting because I've never. It's been I don't know. Training camp drills. It's definitely not like backs on backers. That's way too physical. I'd probably want to do some of the agility drills. You see these guys, and I think it'd actually be really fun too to do the ball protection, the football, the protecting the rock. You see these guys, they have the football, they're carrying it. So quarterbacks do this, receivers do it, running backs definitely do it. And they have these sticks that look like PVC pipe. And at the very end is a boxing glove. And the people are literally coaches are trying to knock the ball out. I think that would be a lot of fun, both to do, try to knock the ball out, as well as to that having them knocking the ball out. So it's going to be interesting. That's a good question. I never thought about that before. All right, let's go to Nathan Van Slyke. Hey, Jeff, I need your opinion. I started looking at the schedule again for a possible game to attend. My best bet would probably be against the Chargers, but I'm not fully sold on going. Should I bite the bullet and go or wait for next season? That's really up to you, Nathan. I mean, if you want to go see a game, I think the Chargers game would be a good one. But at the same time, if you're not sold on that game, I don't know is it worth going to Pittsburgh? I don't think you're going to regret going if you go, unless they lose, which we don't know if that'll happen yet or not. But I think it's honestly, if you want to go, go. If you don't want to go, save your money, wait till next year and get the game that you really, really want. That's my best advice. All right, let's go to Brandon Diaz. He has several questions. He said, will Cam hold out or in if he doesn't get the contract? I did 5 storylines for SteelCurtainNetwork.com. This was on Monday. And one of those was, will Cam hold in like TJ Watt and Deontay Johnson did when they were looking for new contracts? And I always think back to something Dave Schofield said on the Steelers preview. We were discussing this, and he said, this is Dave, mind you. He said, well, if if Cam doesn't do a lot, that's not going to be any different than normal. He's a veteran. He's probably not going to practice a lot. He's probably not going to be put through the rigors of training camp. So I don't know if we'll really notice if he decides to hold out unless he doesn't show up, or if he says, I'm not doing anything, in which case that would be different than what Deontay Johnson did and TJ Watt did when they were looking for their contracts, where they did all of the individual stuff, but no team drills until they got their new contracts. So that'll be interesting to see. Next one. Did Cam saying he'd play for the Browns upset the Steelers more than we even know? I know for a fact from our source that it did upset the Browns, or not the Browns. It upset the Steelers a lot. More than yes, the fans probably know. Next question. What is one thing us fans shouldn't be shocked about when it happens in camp? Don't be shocked if there's some type of outburst. If a player, think of a George Pickens or someone like that, or a Najee Harris, is frustrated, maybe because the quarterback situation, it's new, they're learning a new offense, the offensive line's not blocking the way they want. Yeah, you don't be shocked if that happens. And then lastly, are y'all doing an SEN show at camp? Is anyone going? I know that we got a couple people. I know Kevin Smith, Coach KT Smith, is definitely going. I'm not sure if he's going to do something there. Talk to him about potentially joining me on Let's Ride from his hotel room or wherever he is to talk about what he saw at camp. And we'll see. I can't guarantee anything. And then the last one from Brandon is one last question due to the Here We Go show. Thoughts on KT Smith talking about wide receiver 2 by committee? It could work. It could work. I mean, when you have Van Jefferson, who's a little bit larger, Quez Watkins, they're of a different build. Calvin Austin III, Scotty Miller, they're very similar. I could see it. How do they fit in, the draft pick? I'm not so sure with Wilson. We'll see how that goes. All right, let's go to Eric. Better chance, the Pirates making the playoffs or the Steelers getting to the AFC Championship game? Well, that's interesting, Eric, because obviously the Steelers season is just kicking off. The Pirates are 100 games in out of 162 game slate, and the Pirates are doing okay. They're 2 games above 500 as of this being recorded, and they're right in the thick of the wild card race. So I think that, again, this is difficult to answer because the Pirates are halfway there, more than halfway there. The Steelers are just starting. So I would definitely lean towards the Pirate making the playoffs because the Pirates are already more than halfway there. Let's go to James. But that doesn't mean I don't think the Steelers could get to the AFC Championship game. Don't blur those lines. Let's go to James. By the time these questions air, training camp will be underway. So let's do an activity. Jeff, if you're a Pittsburgh Steeler reporting for camp, what are 5 must-have items you're bringing for your dorm room? All right, 5 must-have items for my dorm room. Definitely would have to have a computer. That's going to be ideal, and it's going to be important. I'm sure they probably provide those, though. I don't know. Anyways, I would probably have a podcast, so I would probably want to have my own stuff anyways. You got to have a cell phone charger in case they don't have those for you either. I'm trying to think if there's like a snack that I would want to bring. I do love, and my wife makes fun of me all the time. I love rice cakes. I love all kinds of rice cakes. There's this new rice cake I just tried. It's cinnamon. It's not like sugary and sweet, but it has cinnamon like coated on it. I love them. I don't have to put anything on them. Some people like peanut butter on them. That's fine. It tastes great, but I just like rice cakes. So maybe I'll just bring some rice cakes. I need 2 more. I would probably bring my golf clubs, or at least a wedge, practice chipping, keep my swing intact. You got to keep that intact. And the last one is I would probably bring, I'm trying to think like exercise stuff, but they would have all that there in the weight room at St. Vincent College. Probably just make sure I have my hats that I like. I want to make sure I keep my dome, keep it from getting burned. All right. Last one, as always, from Steeler Fan 69. He always likes to inject some humor into the podcast. He has 3 dad jokes. Here we go. First, I burnt my Hawaiian pizza last night. I should have put it on a aloha temperature. Get it? A lower temperature, aloha temperature. Thought that was good. Next, he said, I got a puppy for my wife. Jeff, it was the best trade I ever made. Last one, I played a YouTube edition of Monopoly last night. It was very difficult because the streets have no name. That's, if you don't know the song, you got to go listen to the YouTube song. I actually told these to my wife before I recorded, and she said, Those were good this week. Those were really funny. So thank you very much, Steeler Fan 69, for always injecting some humor into the show. This has been a good show. I hope that for you, this was a primer for training camp, getting you ready. And I've said this before. I think I said it on Friday's show. I always used to get so excited, but there was never really any news that came on these days. So go check out steelcurtainnetwork.com. Check out the Training Camp Confidential. When you go to steelcurtainnetwork.com, you'll see a featured story at the very top. And it's going to say, welcome to the 2024 Training Camp Confidential. If you click on that, every single published article will have a link there. Go check it out. You're not going to want to miss anything. We've got articles from Coach KT Smith. We've got Nate Bodnar, who's a great football writer for us. We've got Dave Schofield. I'll be writing content. Jeremy Betts, Andrew Wilbar. We're all going to be contributing. Make sure you go check out steelcurtainnetwork.com early and often. There's going to be more content than we normally have on an off season. So make sure you check out that website. But that does it for me. I'm going to be back on Friday talking about those guarded optimism and expectations for the 2024 Steelers. We'll also have Jeremy Jerome Betts and the All Bets Are Off segment on. In the meantime, you know, if you finish these out, be safe, be kind, and God bless. Have a great rest of your week. We'll see you on Friday. Go Steelers. The boys are back.